Are you tired of swiping endlessly, feeling like there's always someone better just a click away? What if I told you that the very abundance of choice on dating apps is secretly sabotaging your chances at genuine connection? We're diving deep into the surprising paradox of modern dating, revealing why having too many options might actually be leaving you lonelier than ever. Imagine standing in a room filled with doors, hundreds of doors, each one promising love, excitement, validation, chemistry, something better. You haven't even opened one properly, but your hand keeps reaching for the next handle. Because what if the best door isn't this one? What if the real connection is just one swipe away? This is not freedom. This is anxiety dressed up as choice. Modern dating didn't fail because people became cold. It failed because people became overwhelmed. We were told more options would make us happier. Instead, they made us restless, doubtful, emotionally lazy, and deeply dissatisfied. You're not miserable because you're unlovable. You're miserable because your mind has been trained to believe commitment equals loss. Here's the paradox. The more options you have, the less satisfied you feel with any single one. Psychologically, abundance doesn't create security. It creates comparison. And comparison quietly kills intimacy. When your brain knows there are endless alternatives, it never fully arrives with the person in front of you. Part of you is always half out the door, scanning, evaluating, upgrading, not because something is wrong, but because something might be better. Dating apps turned human beings into catalogs, profiles into products, conversations into trials. People are no longer met. They are assessed. And when love becomes an evaluation process, vulnerability becomes a risk you'd rather avoid. You don't ask, how deeply can I connect here? You ask, can I do better? That single question is quietly destroying your peace. Because the human nervous system is not designed to bond in a marketplace. Attraction needs presence. Presence needs safety. Safety needs narrowing of focus. But modern dating teaches the opposite. Keep your options open. Don't invest too soon. Don't get attached. Don't settle. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop attaching at all. You talk to 5 people at once. You flirt with 3. You emotionally invest in none. And then you wonder why everything feels empty. Choice feels powerful at first. It gives you a dopamine hit, matches, messages, attention. But dopamine is not connection. Dopamine is stimulation. And stimulation without depth always leads to burnout. That's why so many people say, I'm tired of dating while still swiping every night. They're not tired of people. They're tired of shallow engagement. The cruelest part, you begin to confuse boredom with incompatibility. The moment intensity dips, which it always does after novelty, you assume something is missing. You don't realize that depth begins exactly where novelty ends. Real attraction isn't constant fireworks. It's the slow safety of being seen without performing. But safety doesn't feel exciting to a brain addicted to options. So you leave, or you emotionally detach while staying, or you keep one foot out just in case. And the connection never has a chance to mature. You didn't lose attraction, you aborted it. Modern dating has trained people to chase potential instead of build reality. Potential feels intoxicating because it hasn't been tested. Reality requires patience, discomfort, communication, repair. Potential asks nothing of you. Reality asks everything. And because there's always someone new available, people stop developing the skills required for long-term bonding. They don't learn how to tolerate frustration, how to have difficult conversations, how to sit through awkwardness, how to grow with someone instead of replacing them. Why work through a misunderstanding when you can swipe and reset? This creates a generation emotionally rich in options but poor in intimacy. Another lie modern dating sells you is this: if it's right, it will be easy. No effort, no confusion, no discomfort, instant alignment, effortless chemistry. That fantasy keeps you perpetually dissatisfied because real relationships are not frictionless, they are forged. Chemistry is not something you find. It's something you build through trust, consistency, and emotional availability. But availability is scary when you believe someone better might appear. So people keep their guard up. They keep conversations light. They avoid defining the relationship. They delay commitment under the name of figuring things out. What they're really doing is protecting themselves from choosing and therefore from losing, because choice implies responsibility, and responsibility feels heavy in a culture that glorifies endless freedom. Here's the psychological trap. When you choose one person, you must grieve all the others you didn't choose. And modern dating never taught you how to grieve imagined possibilities. So instead, you keep them alive in your mind. You hold on to them as backups, as fantasies, as escape routes, and those ghosts slowly poison the present. You sit across from someone kind, emotionally available, consistent, and feel strangely unsatisfied, not because they lack value, but because your mind is comparing them to an imaginary composite of everyone else you could have had, a fantasy no real human can compete with. That's why people say, "I don't feel the spark," when what they really mean is, "I don't feel the anxiety of uncertainty anymore." Calm feels boring to a nervous system trained on chaos. The paradox of choice doesn't just make you miserable, it makes you confused about what love is supposed to feel like. You start equating emotional highs with connection and emotional steadiness with lack of passion. So you chase intensity, not intimacy, drama, not depth, butterflies, not bonds. And intensity always burns out. The more choices you have, the more afraid you become of choosing wrong. So you delay decisions, you keep things casual, you avoid labels. You say, "Let's see where it goes," not realizing that directionless connection almost always goes nowhere. Meanwhile, loneliness increases, not because people are alone, but because they are unanchored. They're constantly interacting without attaching, connecting without committing, talking without arriving. You weren't meant to love like this. The human heart bonds through focus, through repetition, through shared meaning. When you spread your emotional energy across too many people, none of them receive enough to grow roots, and you end up feeling unseen, even while being constantly seen. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Happiness in love requires limitation. You don't get depth without closing doors. You don't get security without choosing despite uncertainty. You don't get intimacy while keeping endless escape routes. Freedom isn't having infinite options. Freedom is having the courage to commit to one and build something real. And until modern dating relearns that, it will keep producing the same outcome. Endless talking stages, short-lived excitement, chronic dissatisfaction, and people wondering why, despite more access than ever, they feel more alone than any generation before them. Because when everything is available, nothing feels valuable. Scarcity creates meaning. Focus creates attachment. But modern dating removes both. It tells you to stay detached, stay flexible, stay unbothered. And slowly, that emotional numbness becomes your default state. You stop feeling deeply, not because you're healed, but because you're guarded. People now enter connections already preparing for the exit. They listen for red flags instead of resonance. They analyze text response times like stock prices. They confuse emotional safety with predictability and predictability with boredom. So they self-sabotage the very stability they claim to want. And the more choices you have, the more perfection you expect. One flaw feels unforgivable when alternatives are endless. A bad day becomes a deal breaker. A misunderstanding becomes proof of incompatibility. You're no longer dating a human. You're chasing an ideal that doesn't exist. This mindset quietly erodes empathy. Instead of asking, can we grow through this? You ask, is this worth my time when I could be talking to someone else? And the moment that question enters your mind, connection starts bleeding out. You also begin outsourcing emotional regulation to options. Feeling bored, swipe. Feeling insecure, seek validation. Feeling misunderstood, start a new conversation instead of repairing the current one. Over time, you lose the muscle required for emotional endurance. Discomfort feels intolerable because you've trained yourself to escape it. That's why so many people panic the moment things get real. When attachment forms, fear follows, because attachment requires exclusivity, and exclusivity means choosing, closing doors, missing out, risking regret. So people pull back right when intimacy deepens, not because something is wrong, but because something is finally real. Modern dating glorifies independence, but forgets interdependence. It celebrates self-protection, but ignores self-exposure. It teaches you how to attract, but not how to stay, how to impress, but not how to build, how to leave, but not how to repair. And repair is where love actually lives. Without repair, relationships remain performative. Everyone is on their best behavior. No one is fully known. The connection feels exciting but hollow, like fast food for the soul, immediate gratification, zero nourishment. The paradox continues. The more you protect your freedom, the more trapped you feel. Trapped in cycles, trapped in situationships, trapped in almost relationships that never evolve. You tell yourself you're being selective, but deep down, you're just afraid to commit to imperfection. And imperfection is unavoidable. Love is not about finding someone without flaws. It's about choosing which flaws you're willing to engage with, grow around, and grow through. But choice overload makes every flaw feel optional, temporary, replaceable. So people keep restarting, new faces, same patterns, different names, identical endings. The problem isn't the people, it's the system that trained you to believe happiness is one swipe away instead of one decision deep. And until you slow down, narrow your focus, and tolerate the discomfort of choosing, modern dating will keep feeding you options while quietly starving you of fulfillment. Because what no one tells you is that attraction deepens after certainty, not before it. When you know someone is choosing you and you are choosing them, your nervous system finally relaxes. And in that relaxation, desire matures, trust grows, playfulness returns. But when everything is provisional, when nothing is secure, your body stays in alert mode, hypervigilant, evaluating, holding back. That constant evaluation is exhausting. It turns dating into labor instead of connection. You're always monitoring how you feel instead of allowing yourself to feel. You're always scanning for signs instead of being present in the moment. And presence is the very thing intimacy requires. The illusion of endless choice also distorts your sense of timing. You think you have forever. You believe you can delay decisions without cost, but indecision has a cost. It erodes momentum. Emotional momentum is fragile. It needs clarity to survive. When things remain undefined for too long, attraction doesn't stay neutral. It decays. People say, let's not rush, without realizing that what they're actually doing is starving the connection of direction. Not every relationship needs speed, but every relationship needs movement. And movement requires choice. Another quiet damage of choice overload is that it turns love into a performance. You start curating yourself instead of revealing yourself. You present what's attractive, not what's true. Because when options are abundant, authenticity feels risky. If you show your full self and it's rejected, you fear you've lost value in a competitive market. So you stay palatable. Easy, agreeable, non-confrontational, and the relationship never deepens because depth requires friction. It requires honesty that might cost you the connection. But without that honesty, the connection was never secure to begin with. This is why so many people say, I don't feel understood, even when they're constantly talking. Communication without vulnerability is just noise, and vulnerability doesn't survive in an environment where everyone is replaceable. The paradox tightens its grip when you realize this. The more options you have, the more pressure you put on each interaction to feel extraordinary. Average moments feel like failure. Quiet affection feels insufficient. You expect every date to deliver clarity, passion, certainty immediately. And when it doesn't, you move on. But love reveals itself slowly, in consistency, in how someone shows up when you're not impressive, in how conflict is handled, in how safety is built. None of that is visible in the early high-choice stage. So by constantly restarting, you keep yourself stuck in the shallow end, judging depth from the surface. And over time, this creates a strange emotional dissonance. You crave closeness but resist dependency. You want intimacy but fear attachment. You want to be chosen but hesitate to choose. That tension lives in your body, creating anxiety you mistake for excitement and peace you mistake for disinterest. So you keep chasing the wrong signals. And while you're busy optimizing, life is happening. Years pass. Emotional energy depletes, cynicism grows, people become more guarded, more transactional, more tired. Not because love failed, but because choice was never meant to replace commitment. And until that illusion breaks, modern dating will continue to give you everything except the one thing you're actually searching for. The truth is this: love does not reward those who keep their options open. It rewards those who show up fully, choose consciously, and stay long enough to be changed. You will never feel satisfied while treating people as interchangeable and connections as temporary experiments. Fulfillment begins the moment you stop asking, what else is out there, and start asking, what can be built here? Modern dating didn't steal your happiness. Indecision did. Fear of missing out did. The belief that perfection is waiting somewhere else did. And the price you pay for refusing to choose is a quiet, persistent emptiness that no amount of attention can fill. You don't need more options. You need more courage. Courage to tolerate uncertainty, courage to commit without guarantees, courage to close doors and stop looking back. Because the moment you choose deeply instead of widely, love stops feeling like a game and starts feeling like home.